So now let's talk about creating arc, and there are 11 different ways of making arc in AutoCAD. All the arc tools are on Home tab, Draw panel, right here in this flyout. So you can see all the 11 tools. Let's start with this 3-point arc. Alright, now as the name suggests, you need only 3 points for this. So I'll start with point A, then I'm going to click on this point and on point B. And that's it. That's our 3-point arc. So as simple as that. Alright, let's just delete it. Let's see the next one. Now this one is actually a set of tools. Now here we have arcs which starts from a point, then we need to specify center, and then finally we need to specify the third value, which is either end point, angle, or length. Similarly, we have the second category where we need to specify starting and end points first, and then angle, direction, or radius. Then we have the third category where we just need to start with center point, then specify the start point, and then final parameter will be either end point, angle, or length. And then finally we have a different category of arc which is called continue, and we'll talk about all of these. So we have seen 3-point, let's see this one. Now here the workflow will be this. You need to start with starting point, then center point, and then end point. Alright, let's do that. So here I'll assume that point B is the starting point. Alright, now we need to specify the center point. Now I'm going to select this point as the center point. Alright, and now the next thing is end point of arc. So you can simply click anywhere in the drawing area to specify the last point or the end point. So if I click here, the arc will end right here. If I click here, it will make this 90-degree arc. If I click here, it's going to make this semicircular arc. So it's completely up to you. Now maybe I'll just click here, and that's our arc. Okay, let's repeat it again. So I'll delete it, and now I'll go to this option, start, center, end. Now again, starting point, center point, and maybe this time I'll just click here, and then we have this semicircular arc. Alright, let's go to the next one, which is start, center, angle. Again, we need to start with starting point, then the center point, and now we need to specify the angle. Now if I specify an angle of 90 degrees, it will make this kind of arc, a completely vertical one. 180 degree will make this arc. A 30-degree arc will look like this. So depending on the angle which you make, it will kind of make a different set of arcs just based on the angle. With an angle of 270 degrees, the arc is going to look like this. So in this case, maybe let's add an angle of 30 degrees. So I'll simply type 30, and you don't need to type angle sign or anything else. Just type the number, press enter, and that's our 30-degree arc. Now if I make a line connecting this point to this, then this included angle will be 30 degrees. Alright, let's see the next one. Start, center, and length. Alright, what this is? So here we need to start with the starting point, then center, you know that, and the last parameter in this case is length. Now length is actually the chord length, and that's the length of this dotted line. Now if I add a chord length of, let's say, 8 unit, my arc is going to look like this. Now what that 8 unit is? Well, if you connect these two endpoints of the arc, then the length of this line will be exactly equal to 8, and that's what that chord length is. And these are basically the 3 categories of arc that you can make using the next set of options too. So here we have the next set of option where we have angle, then direction, and radius. Slightly different, but overall the workflow will be same. Let's see this one as well. So we need to start with starting point, then end point, and then angle. Alright, here is the starting point. Then we have the end point now, and then we just need to specify the angle. Alright, now in this case I'm going to specify an angle of 45 degrees, and let's see what we'll get. Okay, so this is 45-degree angle, and it looks kind of weird. Now what's that 45-degree angle? Well, to find that angle, you just need to make lines connecting this center point of arc with its starting and end point, and now this angle is 45 degrees. So that's what this start, end, and angle is. Okay, let's see the next one. Start, end, and direction. Again, starting point, here goes my end point, and then direction. Now direction is simply this dotted yellow line. So wherever you add this line, it will just make your arc in that direction. You can even move it up. Now with this vertical direction, I'm going to end up with this semicircular arc. Now, for a moment, let's assume that we want to make an arc in such a way that it remains tangent with these existing lines. For that, I'm just going to click on this second point. Now, my direction line is overlapping this existing line, and in this case, I'll end up with an arc which is exactly tangent to this one. That's because of direction. So that's the direction option. All right, now finally, start, end, radius. So here you need to specify starting point, end point, and then radius. Okay, now I'm going to select point B as the starting point, point A as the end point. All right, now we just need to specify a radius value. Now in this case, the minimum value of radius that you can specify here is 5. Now why 5? 5 is half of this length of this line A and B. Okay, we'll get to that why it should be 5, but first let's add a distance of 6. All right, which is of course more than 5, and press enter. And this is what we are going to end up with. So with this starting point as point B and end point as point A and a radius of 6, we have this arc. Now what is happening here? Well, it will select this as the start point, end point, and the radius is 6. But in this case, the limit was 5 because this length from A to B is 10 unit. So the smallest circle that you can make connecting these two is this. Now anything is smaller than this and there won't be an arc or a circle for that matter connecting both of these points. You can connect this circle with at least one of the points, but then it won't connect the second one. So if you want to make a circle or arc that touches both of these points, then you need to ensure that its radius should be always more than 5. Then only it will touch it. So with a really very large radii, it will still touch both of these points. You can just move it in such a way, kind of like this, and it will touch it like this. So that's how we got this number, the minimum value of 5, and that of course depends on this length. Now there is another detail which I want to highlight here. Now in this case, our arc was made above this line. What if you want to make it below this line? For that, you just need to reverse the order of point selection. So I'll go to this again, start, end, radius. Now my starting point will be point A, and then end point is point B. And now you can see that the arc is below that line. Now why is that? Well, let me first make the arc. So I'll just use a radius of 7, enter. Now in this case, it is following the anti-clockwise rule. In AutoCAD, anti-clockwise rule is quite a dominant one, and in almost every scenario AutoCAD will assume anti-clockwise as the default or the positive direction. So when you select point A as the starting point, AutoCAD will start moving this arc in anti-clockwise direction and will make it like this. If however you select point B as the starting point, it will start moving in this direction, which is of course anti-clockwise, and then we'll end up with an arc which is above this line. But this rule is not a hard and fast kind of rule. You can reverse it. So let's do that one more time. Start, end, radius. This is starting point, this is end point, and as you can see, when I move my cursor, I've got this arc above this line because of the anti-clockwise rule. But now press and hold Control key on your keyboard and the direction of arc will reverse. And now you can specify any number, for example maybe 7. So here I'll just type 7, and now I'll press and hold my Control key. After typing the number, of course, simply press and hold Control and then press enter, and there we are, we've got this arc. So in this way you can reverse the direction as well. All right, now let's get rid of this and let's see other options. So we have this center, start, end, and this one is easier. You just need to start with center point, then start, and then end point. So here we have the center, then starting point and end point. Now want to go in this direction? Well, reverse the order or press and hold Control key. So here, center, starting point, well, end point. There we are. Now we have center, start, and angle. So center point, well, I'll select point B as the starting point, and for angle, I'll just type 60. And this is what we have. Now you know that if I make a line connecting these two, well, let me just do that quickly. These two, the angle, the included angle will be 60 degrees. All right, then we have center, start, length. Again, center point, starting point, and the length is chord length. We have already seen that only the order of selecting points has changed. So here also, if I add a chord length of, let's say, 6 unit, this is what we are going to end up with. Now the length of this line connecting these two endpoints is going to be 6 unit. All right, finally, let's talk about this last arc, which is continue. But before we do that, I'll make a simple arc, and actually I'll do that using 3 point. So I'll click on first point and second point somewhere randomly here, and then third point right here. Okay, now I'll go to continue, and this will happen. It will start making arc which is exactly tangent to the previous one. Now you can click on second point if you want to, or you can just move it in some other direction. Here maybe let's just make something completely different. I'll click here, and there we are. If I select continue again, it will make another arc which is tangent with this one. So here we are, it's still tangent, and you can keep on selecting this and it will always make this kind of tangential arc. Now finally, maybe to finish this one, let's just maybe click here, and one more time I'll just close it. So, well, this kind of shape, so where all of these arcs are tangent to one another. So that's the continue option, and in this way you can make arc in AutoCAD.